Hey, 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 what's going on, guys? Man, it feels good to be back in here. Man, let me tell y'all something. It's been a minute since I've done the Artist Loft podcast. Feels good to be back. Uh, for everybody that's tuning in, man, um, thank y'all. This is actually going to be kind of a test, trying out some new software, trying to see, what's working, what's going on. So, y'all bear with me. I got to get the audio straight. I want to make sure it's all good. I want to make sure this new software I'm using is all good, and I have no idea how to look at the comments and all that. But we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be all right. Anyway, welcome to the Artist Loft, man, where we talk all things art. This is a safe space for artists to come, man, and just chop it up. We don't deal with sports. We don't deal with politics or religion. It's all about the art here, all right? So today, I wanted to talk about the particular art form that me, myself, is kind of involved in, and that's the art of filmmaking. And so I wanted to just kind of give my perspective on it and kind of, what I believe the art of filmmaking is. And again, let me start off by saying, man, if anybody is watching and you commenting, I have no idea how to view the comments right now with this program that I'm using. So if you are, uh, I can't see it. So my bad. I'll figure it out for the next time though. All right, so let's get into this. So the art of filmmaking, right? Let me grab my things here, make sure I'm good. Okay. So the art of filmmaking. So what is that? So first, let's make sure that we understand what we mean when we're talking art or the arts. Okay. Now, that word in itself is very subjective, right? Art is some things to some people, and to some people it's not. You have people that don't believe that hip hop music is art. You have some people that do believe that it's art. You have some people that don't believe that some forms of just music in general is not art. And we all know that it is. So art is always going to be subjective, okay? But there are some artistic and creative ways to do anything. And that's what I'm talking about when I say the art of filmmaking. So for me, I've always been a creative person, right? I've always wanted to create things. When I started doing photography back in 2016, doing it professionally anyway, I wanted a way to be able to artistically express myself through images, which is why at first I did not want to really get into a lot of portrait photography, because when it comes to portrait photography, sometimes you don't have a lot of creative freedom. You know, a person comes to you, says, I want to take some pictures for my birthday, and I've got this dress, and I've got, these props I want to put in there, and blah, blah. And so it kind of takes away of your creative freedom. So I didn't want to really get into that a lot. But of course, I did it because I had a camera and it was a way to make money. When I started shooting video, though, I was real specific in my thinking. So for me, I didn't go into it as I'm shooting films. I went into it as I'm going to create art. Man, let me cut this TV down. I went into it as I'm creating art. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to artistically tell stories because that's what filmmaking is. And before I get done with this video, I am going to help out some people who may be just starting. I'm going to give you some tips and some ways to go ahead and do that. But I wanted to be able to artistically tell a story. filmmaking in itself, just down to the bare bones of it, is just simply pointing a camera at something and recording it. I mean, I'm not going to try to romanticize this thing, y'all. That's just what it is, right? So it is what it is. But you can do this artistically to tell your story. So, for instance, let's say that you have a story about your childhood you want to tell. Well, you can either just go and get some young folks and tell them, hey, I did this, I used to do that, I want you to do this too so I can film you. And you can do that and make a film. Or you can really become creative with it, which happens in a lot of films that, are so-called based on true stories. They embellish a lot. They add things to it to make it a little bit more creatively appealing to people. And that is the art of filmmaking. That is the basis of what it is. Now, we can look at this from a couple of different ways. So you can look at it from the standpoint of a director, right? This person, he writes a script, comes up with the storyboards and the storylines for it. He creates a shot list, and then he takes that to a producer, and then they find a cinematographer who can convey that on film, right? So the cinematographer has to take the creative vision or the artistic vision from the director and be able to put that on film so it can be seen. So, in my lane, because I'm a solo filmmaker, I kind of wear all those hats, right? Which is not ideal. It's just not. But it is what it is. So I'll write a script as the director, and then I'll take that script to myself. And then I'll take that to myself again as the cinematographer to be able to put that on film. Now, being a solo filmmaker, it can make that process easier because I don't have to explain my vision to somebody else for them to be able to try to creatively put it on screen. I know exactly what I want, and so I can shoot it in that way. So one way that I think about this, and there's a director by the name of Steve McQueen. He's one of my favorite directors. He directed 12 Years a Slave. And he used the term framing a narrative. And I love that term because pretty much what he's saying is that when we tell a story, when we show this artistic vision, we're framing up the narrative that we're trying to tell, the story that we're trying to tell. And we do this in filmmaking by many different ways. But one way is with our camera shots and our angles and our compositions and things of that nature. So in 12 Years a Slave, which is an excellent movie, I don't know, I tend to look at movies, from a director's standpoint and from a camera guy's standpoint, because that's what I do. It's hard for me to watch movies and not look at them like that. But in 12 Years a Slave, Steve McQueen did some things that kind of broke the rules of cinematography, but he did it to tell the story. In that movie, there are a lot of shots where the camera is locked off on a tripod. He's just got the camera on a tripod and it's filming. It's not moving. There's no pans or no push-ins. It's just sitting there. And in some of those shots, one shot in particular, if you've seen the movie, there was a shot where what's the character's name? Solomon Grundy. Is that it? Well, Solomon, they've got him hanging from a tree and just barely his toes are touching the ground to keep him from choking to death. Steve McQueen sat on this shot for a little over 3 minutes. And all you're doing is seeing Solomon hanging from this tree and people in the background just going about their day like he's not even there. And you're watching this for 3 minutes. In that 3 minutes, if you pay attention, you begin to feel uncomfortable. Like you begin to squirm a little bit because you're just watching this man hanging from this tree for that amount of time in the shot. The camera never moved. It didn't do anything. He just sat it there. And there's a few other shots in that movie where he did that. That is artistic expression. Okay? He wanted you, some people would have pulled off of that shot and went to something else to try to keep pushing the story forward. Well, that shot holding for that long, it doesn't necessarily push the narrative, but it makes you feel the uncomfortableness of the character. And that in itself can drive the story. And he did this in several places in this movie. He might not have held the shots that long, but there's other shots where the camera's just locked off and he's just got it sitting there. No music, no movement, no nothing. It is absolutely great directing. Steve McQueen also has another movie. His first one was a movie called Hunger. Great movie. Well, there's a scene in that one where the main character and a priest are sitting at a table across from each other. And they're having a conversation. The main character is just talking to the priest. And the camera has them centered. You see the character and the priest, and they're just talking. The camera never moves. It never moves. It never, normal dialogue scenes are, the over-the-shoulder shots where you partly see one person, you see the face of the other one, and then it switches to when the other person starts talking. That's a normal dialogue. But in this, you just see the two just talking. And the main character is just talking to the priest, and the priest is just sitting there listening. Camera never moves. Y'all, this scene lasts for 17 minutes. It lasts for a long time. And you're sitting there and you're watching this, and it's like, okay, well, you're looking for movement. But movement wouldn't do anything for this scene. The only time the camera changed is at the end of that scene. And the priest asks the guy, he says, "So you called me here for this?" And then the camera switches, excuse me, and shows the guy's face when he says what he says. Excellent directing. That is pure artistic expression in filmmaking right there. Steve McQueen is one of my favorite directors. Y'all got to check him out. He's a black guy from the UK. Excellent, excellent dude. But there's other films like this that use certain type of artistic expression to convey. The film Oppenheimer that came out, was it earlier this year or last year? It might have been earlier this year. There's a lot of shots, a lot of really, really tight close-up shots that make you feel the emotion of the character. Now, I do this quite often myself in my films because I'm trying to convey emotion. I want you to feel what that character is feeling. And one way I can do that is to get a really, really, tight close-up shot of their face. So you see their emotion and it transfers to you. That's all filmmaking and storytelling is. As directors, we want people to feel what our characters are feeling. And we do that through artistically, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Artistically putting our vision out there, right? So for me, anytime I'm writing a script, I see this stuff in my head. Like I see it. And people that have worked with me will tell you that I get frustrated when what's in my head isn't translating to the camera. I get real frustrated, and I have honestly deleted whole projects because I've shot it, gone back and started editing, and the edit just didn't come together. It didn't look like what I saw in my head, and I see everything down to the how the characters look and everything. And sometimes you pivot because even though you saw it a certain way in your head, it didn't look like that when it came out, but it worked. The film I did From Bay to Blocked, that film did really well. A lot of people liked it. The actor and the actress I used on that film do not look like the characters when I had them in my head. They just didn't. They they don't, and that's no slight to them, but they just didn't look like what I had in my head. But when those two came together to do that film, it just worked. So it was bump what I saw in my head. This is fly. This is working. Like, this is really dope. Like, they're vibing together. This is what the film needed. So sometimes you have to pivot, even from your own creative vision, and let the art kind of flow, right? Again, art is never going to be this one size fit all thing. It's never gonna be just this thing that we contain in a box, man. It's everywhere. It's kind of like Lord, I don't want to use the old Bruce Lee thing, but it's like water. Okay, it flows, right? When we tell our stories artistically, it just flows. And sometimes it doesn't flow the way that you want it to, but it still flows. So, we have to deal with it for what it is. But I mentioned earlier about what Steve McQueen said, the term that he used when he said framing a narrative. And if you just think about that for a minute, like, it makes complete sense, especially if you are a filmmaker. It makes perfect sense. Y'all, this is a very good drink. It's called Turmeric Radiance. It's a turmeric drink. It's very good. Excuse me. But let me check something here. I hope y'all can still hear. Let's see. My audio meters are still going. Looks like y'all can still hear me. Let me look over here real quick. I'm trying to check Facebook real quick just to see if I can see. Yep. Okay. It says I'm live there. Let's check YouTube. We're going to see, am I live on, I don't know, am I live on YouTube? Hold on. Yes, I'm live on YouTube. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, framing a narrative. Taking what we've come up with, taking our stories and putting it in frame. That is just the basics of it. And that's all it really needs to be. Filmmaking doesn't have to be complicated. And I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. But it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be so complex that, you're racking your brain with all of this stuff before you even cut the camera on. And there are certain things that we do, right? We do storyboards and we do mood boards. I do all of that. People that work with me know I'll send them my vision, what I want it to look like, and all of that. But it doesn't have to be that. These are things that we do that hopefully make our jobs easier as directors or cinematographers. But we don't have to have these things, right? So it's kind of one of the two things, or some of the things that we do to help push us along the way. For me, honestly, a lot of that stuff is to kill my procrastination. So if I put in the work to do storyboards and I do mood boards and I send them over to the actors, they then become my accountability partners because I've gone this far. And if I don't go no further, they're going to be calling like, hey, what's going on? You sent this stuff, but we ain't filming nothing. What's happening? What you doing? So for me, that's what it is. But it doesn't have to, filmmaking doesn't have to be all of that, right? So I'm going to help some people who may be just starting out. I do get questions a lot from people who are just starting and don't really know where to start, because on my channel a lot I talk a lot about doing things in a budget-friendly way or just getting it done. So I get questions a lot, look, man, I got this idea. Where do I start? Let me help y'all out. This is right here. This isn't even filmmaking 101. This is filmmaking 0. Like, real simple. All right. So the first thing you need is a camera. And I don't care what camera it is. It can be an iPhone 1. Was it called iPhone 1? Or was it just iPhone then? I don't know. I don't care what it is, okay? If it's got a camera on it, use it. I don't care if it's a 15-year-old DSLR, whatever. Use it, okay? Next thing you're going to do is you're going to write down your script or your vision, because you don't even really need a script to shoot your first film. It doesn't have to have any dialogue in it, but if it does, fine, write it down. If not, write down the vision for it. And I want you to write it down, because if you leave it in your head, it's going to stay there and you're not going to shoot it. Write it down. I don't write stuff, y'all. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't write nothing, but I do put it in my notes on my phone. Like, I have notes here. So write it down, get your camera, and then check this out. Here comes the hard part. Go shoot it. Real simple, ain't it? Look how easy that was. Very simple. Y'all, it's all about just doing it. There's no magic button to this. I know a lot of times we watch other creators and other filmmakers do things. There are some people right here in the city, man, that are just dope. That I look at their films and I'm like, yo, like, my film is not going to look like that. So when I start thinking that, I got a choice. I can either figure out what they did to make their film look like that, or I can just not shoot my film. So for me, I always struggle with just not shooting it. That's always a struggle for me. But what I've learned over the years is I just like to tell stories. So if the lighting isn't perfect, or if the composition isn't perfect, or if I didn't frame everything exactly the way it should be, it's okay because it's about the art. It's about telling the story. It's about framing the narrative. So I make up in my mind that, you know what, I'm going to put it out there. And even if people don't like it, I still was able to create art and put it there. And that's the main thing. So that's what it's all about, man. It's just all about being able to express yourself in whatever art form that is, whether it's filmmaking, if you're a dancer, you're a singer or a rapper, modeling, whatever it is that you do, expressing yourself artistically for a creative is life. Like it's how we breathe. It's what we do, right? It's what keeps us going. It's what connects us. I've gone on photo walks before, and you meet people that you never knew before. And even if there may be people there that you've seen that you do know that you may have had some differences with, but there in that moment, while both of you are there creating art, man, none of that matters because it's all about the art. And on this podcast, that's what we're going to talk about. Again, in whatever art form it exists, artistry is just artistry. Doesn't matter what form it takes. It's just there. And on the Artist Loft podcast, man, that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about. So, again, this one was quick. I just wanted to get on here and test this stuff. Excuse me. I do have to figure out how to monitor the comments and everything from the actual software. That's one thing I did not research before I started this. So I've got to figure that out. So I'll probably do another episode, not next week, but the week after. Or I may jump on here, man, before then. I don't know. If I decide I got something to say about some art or somebody else has something to say, then I'm just going to jump on. So y'all just make sure, if you're following me on YouTube, man, just make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you got the notification bell hit. And it'll let you know when I'm getting ready to go live or whatever. If you're on Facebook, man, just pay attention. If I go live, y'all jump in here, man, and vibe with me. All right? So again, this was just my little world of filmmaking. Take it and run with it. If you're not into filmmaking, go shoot a film anyway. Excuse me. I know most of y'all got iPhone 15s and 16s. Cameras on them are great. Mine is iPhone 15 Pro, man. I'm actually going to shoot an entire short film with just my phone. That might be the next film that I do. Y'all be looking out for that. Now, I do have a short film that will probably drop in the next week or two. It's called Endure. This film is something else. It's really going to push your emotions in several different ways. And I think we did that pretty well in 15 minutes. Yeah, so y'all be on the lookout for that, man. I had some wonderful actors and actresses on that. Turned out okay. Of course, anything I make, I'm going to find mistakes, things I could have done better. I am not the greatest lighting person in the world, So whenever I go back and look at my films, I always see areas and places that I could have lit better. But no matter how long we do this, man, we still learning. All right. So y'all be on the lookout for Endure, man. I appreciate everybody that got on here and rocked with me for a minute. Um, let me go ahead and say this also. A lot of you watching and probably know that a couple weeks ago I lost my wife. Um, so it's been a rough couple of weeks around here. But we are still moving. We are still pushing. Anybody that knows me and my wife, we were Jesse James, man. We were all we did was create. That's it. Like we were both creatives. We were both artists, and that's the one thing that connected both of us. And that's why I'm still doing it, man. That's why I wanted to make sure I brought the podcast back. I had talked about it with her really earlier this month about bringing it back, and she thought it was a great idea. So I can't renege on that now. So here we are, got the podcast back up and going. We are going to rock it, man. I appreciate all of you guys for rocking with me. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and I will let you know when I'm coming back on. All right, y'all be easy and have a good night.